All right, you guys, welcome to another Faithful Visionary Project lecture series. Um, Today we are going to talk about the pearl of great price. And in today's presentation, keep in mind, we kind of have always been talking about this no matter what. I was actually just letting Robert know that, interestingly, of all the presentations I've given, I haven't actually specifically focused on this idea. We have the first lecture that we did, which was I Am Cause. But let's talk about the pearl of great price, because this is this might be the key that might be missing in your manifestation process for those of you who are still struggling and understanding why things are showing up the way they're showing up and this any other. And so my intention for this presentation is to really highlight and solidify who we are and how powerful we are. All right. So let's dive into it. Pearl of great price. Let's quote from Matthew. Or is it Mark? Yeah, Matthew. So the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who finding one pearl, excuse me, everything is in my way right now. Sorry about that. Who, in search of fine pearls, who finding one pearl of great value, went and sold all that he had and bought it. And if you do want to get into scripture, go and look at Matthew chapter 13. Read the whole thing. It's a bunch of parables, but 45 through 46 is what we're talking about here. The pearl of great price, great value. The ultimate value that you and I all have is this pearl. It's Christ. It is our imagination. It is our I am. There's nothing more valuable than that. And because of our programming, because of the way we have been trained in this world, we tend to put our beliefs over our own self. Beliefs in external causes, beliefs in external reasons, beliefs in external strategies and know-how and uh, 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 justified ways in doing things. In Neville's lecture, he talks about people using tarot cards or crystals or believing in the stars or how the moon affects them and this, that, and the other. And he's knocking those beliefs out. But if you really dive in, he's really saying any external cause is selling this pearl, is buying other things as great value as opposed to our own I am. So as we're going through this presentation, I really want y'all to think about it. What beliefs am I holding on to that I need to sell? And we'll get into that question later, but I just want to preface this and let y'all know that the kingdom of heaven is your ideal state. The kingdom of heaven is your wish fulfilled. So your wish fulfilled is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who finding this one pearl of great value went and sold all that he had and bought it. All that you have. So what do you have as opposed to this pearl? Let's dive into it. So, Neville says, it takes everything that we own as to beliefs that we think are powers to guide our life to pay for this pearl of great price. If you think for one moment you can hold on to one little thing in the event that this doesn't work, you can't buy the pearl. And so when I buy the pearl, I go all out and live by it. And there is no other being in this world, just the pearl, and I live by it. Just pausing real quick. Can y'all please share the link to this Zoom in the chat so Earl can join us? So it takes everything we own. What do you own? You own your beliefs. You own your superstitions. You own your strategies. But you guys, you have to understand that none of these things is actually the truth of who you are. And in fact, you are bigger than all these things. You have the power and the wisdom of God within you. But our reasoning and our logic and all that stuff says otherwise. Why? Because of the proof. Look at our proof. Look at what's happened up until now. Look at all the failure I've had. But, every time I do this one thing, everything ends up working out for me. I know I used to carry a little quartz crystal in my pocket. I'm not even quite certain it worked, but my belief in it worked. My belief in that thing worked. But whenever it didn't work, I thought, oh my God, I need to rub my crystal more, or maybe I need to charge it in the sun more. I know people who think that they just need to work harder in order for them to achieve their goal. And so they'll lose their mind, they'll lose their energy, and then they'll get that job. But then when they're in that job, they're exhausted because they're constantly having to work because they think that the doing, right? They believe that the doing is what's creating their outcomes, when in fact it's not. It's their being. So it takes everything you own as to beliefs that we think are powers to guide our life. Do you think your parents are guiding your life? Your teachers, your superiors, even me, the tools, the techniques, all those things that you're doing are what you need to sell. Because the true power lies within us. This whole buying the pearl is about embracing your inner power, your God self, and trusting in your innate abilities. You guys, God, he put us here in this planet with a whole map of how we're going to show up in this world. But we believe in these external powers as opposed to believing in him. We have this power within us, and it's up to us to choose it right now, because there's only now. We have to start recognizing that we have this power to be love, to be the change that we want to see in the world, as Barack Obama would say. I don't really care about your political beliefs, but that is a statement he said. Be the change you want to see in the world. Because we have the power to change, to choose to change. And if we have the power to give to our strategies or our tarot cards, or it's the moon, or it's the diet that I'm on, if you have that ability to assume that has that type of power, you're proving you have the power. So, have you bought the pearl? Do you find yourself looking for answers on the outside? Maybe it's not tarot cards for you. Maybe it's business strategies. Maybe it's a new diet or a new technique. Maybe it's another form of, okay, maybe I should try this thing. Maybe I should try that thing. But you're trying all these things except for your own I am, and knowing that you already are the man or the woman that you want to be. This means that you're placing your trust on external things. And when you place your trust on external things, you're creating a tyranny for yourself. That tyranny of second causes. You all imagine something in order to be here. You imagine something in order to eat your sandwich for lunch. I had a little roast beef soup, which was delicious. But where are you placing yourself? And what are you buying? What are you buying into? Right? You're feeling impoverished. Oh, God, not again. You know what? I know what I'll do. I'll go and find another business strategy, or I'll go and reach out to this person or that person, and I'll believe in whatever they have to suggest to me. But to believe in myself that I actually have the ability to do what I want now, that I am the person that I want to be now, nah, 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 I can't buy that. So, do you find yourself looking for outside causes, or have you bought the pearl? I am. See, I am who is you is the operant power. And by operant power, I mean you have the ability of choosing. Nothing is holding you back from what it is that you want. It's your belief. The only thing holding you back, I should say, is actually your belief in external causes. Anytime you ask yourself, why is this happening? What can I do to make this change? What can I do to make this shift? You are selling the pearl. You are selling the ultimate power that you are. So this is an invitation, you guys, to buy the pearl, to go within and recognize and trust that God within you is all you need. It's so easy. It's so easy because of training, because of conditioning to say, you know what, let me follow what that person has to say. Let me do what that person has to do. But I'm telling you, God already has the thing you're looking for. The kingdom of heaven, remember, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. The kingdom of heaven is your wish fulfilled, is your ideal state. And it's within you right now. I'm going to reiterate this over and over and over again. That thing that's coming up that triggers you, that makes you think that you can't do it or whatever, is your opportunity to buy the pearl, to recognize that there is no power external to yourself. So let's sell all that we have. It doesn't cost us anything except for our beliefs in other things. Again, reiteration. It costs nothing externally to buy this pearl. What are your old beliefs? What are the beliefs that you're holding on to? That I got to work hard, that I got to um that I got to get them to change, that I got to try this new thing and that new thing and do that shiny object. You are already free, y'all. You don't need to do anything to imprison you. In fact, just now, Robert was just sharing with me about a friend of his that he shared some of my content with, and she said that she grew up. She grew up knowing this stuff. Her mom taught her about Neville's teachings, and now she's in this place where she graduated summa cum laude. She's making moves. She's like one of those really smart tech or engineering type people. And she gets job offers and she declines all of them because they're not what she wants. Because she knows she doesn't have to take anything she doesn't want. You don't have to put up with anything. You don't have to accept anything just because it's there and you need it. You don't need anything on the outside. And such freedom comes from that because you can say no freely and you can say yes freely. So sell your old beliefs, those old beliefs that say, this is how I need to move. This is the only way I know how to move. This is the only way I know how to be. Shed all that. Kill the old man. Notice when that old man is trying to get you back to believing in something external to yourself. I'm thinking of like of a story of an old client of mine who he was working uh uh he was working his job. He was in real estate, and he really really believed that he had to increase the amount of calls he made in order to make more sales. And I was trying to convey to him this whole idea of buying the pearl in this context, and he had a hard time understanding it. He's like, "Are you sure, man? I mean, I'm trying to increase my sales. Shouldn't I increase my numbers?" I'm like, "No, that's a belief in an external cause. I'm not saying you won't make extra calls, but that shouldn't be your focus at all. For all I know, you might need to take less calls." Sure enough, he ended up taking less calls, but he ended up being the top in his company. Why? Because he believed in himself, not in the actions that he was taking. He believed in his own ability to manifest what he wanted. And the bridge of incident unfolded perfectly for him. So check your old beliefs at the door. Check them. They don't belong with your new self at all. Your new self has completely different beliefs. And in fact, if you're truly buying this pearl, there's only one belief that you have. And that's the belief in I am. So this isn't about tools and techniques. This isn't about strategies. This is about you, who you truly are. You are the source of your good. You are the source of your bad. And you are the source of the seeming indifferent things that are going on in the world. It's all about you. What is your relationship with you? What is your relationship with capital S self? What is your relationship with God? Because the things that you're seeing on the external are all a reflection of who you are and what you actually believe. So if you think it's the teacup leaves that's going to make or break you, or you think it's drinking or not drinking, doing drugs or not doing drugs, being with this person or not being with that person, being in this house or not being in that house, all of those things external. Who are you, and who do you say that I am? You're not weak, you guys. Y'all aren't here. I don't do weak. We're in the business of creating miracles here, y'all. We're bold here, y'all. We make moves like nobody else. People look at us in awe and go, "Man, how are you doing that?" And then you tell them, "I bought the pearl of great price." Because we are fearless. And when you buy the pearl, you become fearless. You don't worry. What is there to worry about? How could you worry? Because I am is bigger than all things. So when you guys can really fully embrace the pearl of great price, you do become fearless. You do become bold. And we talked about boldness a couple weeks ago, but we're really getting down to this fundamental cause. I am. So y'all need to understand that you are God. Not it says God of your reality, which is very true. You God the Father is greater than I, right? But here on this level, I have the ability of choosing where the power lies, outside myself or within myself. If I choose outside myself, that's where the fear is, that's where the anger is, that's where the frustration is. But the truth of who I am and the truth of who you are is the same I am. It's just a rearrangement of the mind. So if you're seeing something that's not ideal, it ain't real. Go within and find the realness, find the truth, find Christ. So be content with I am and nothing more. So let's test ourselves, okay? Do you not realize that Jesus Christ is within you? That is, of course, unless you fail to meet the test. What is the test? That I am the cause. I am the light. I am the way. So how can you do this? Imagine that the object of your desire is there standing before you, or a friend or whatever, and imagine having that conversation with them from the premise of your desire fulfilled. Either for them, you can practice this on other people. So people are struggling in your life, you can imagine them healed or prospered or loved. And if it's yourself, it's the same thing. Put an imaginary character outside yourself, within yourself, outside yourself, and buy the pearl. Trust that you are that person. And if you can really nail this, you guys, y'all will see how things unfold. Right? So feel them. Feel that wish. Feel it now. And feel the solidity of it. And believe in it. And by believe in it, I mean know it. Know it intimately. Know it like you know the sun is coming up tomorrow. It is done. I have so many examples of how I've had the opportunity to sell the pearl, but chose not to and chose to buy the pearl, even when it seemed like there was no way things are going to come to pass. But when I buy that pearl, and the more often I buy that pearl, I buy it every morning, things show up. It's when I forget who I am that things just go in chaos. Things seem to be out of control. Things seem to be going the other direction. Things seem to be undesirable. But I also know that anytime it seems undesirable, anytime it seems frustrating, anytime it seems like things aren't changing, that's my opportunity to buy the pearl, because that's a belief in something else. We are beyond powerful. We are power. So I guess we can't be beyond it. But the power and wisdom of God, the very power that created and sustained the universe, is us. We just have a completely different rearrangement of our mind. So we call it Robert, or we call it Terry, or we call it Star, or we call it Armors. But we are free, and it is done, because creation is finished. And all I need to do is recognize who I am and who God is. You think you need to do something to make it come to pass. That's the illusion. So I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. Please ask your questions. What came up for you? What triggered in you that you just need some clarification on?
Hey everybody, this is Armors. So Jerry, this is a question that occurs to me often. I think I have I think I have come to a conclusion of what the answer is, but I just want to ask you to get your thoughts on it. So, first of all, I missed the first 15 minutes, but I got the essence of the message today, the I am message. And so, I'm tracking with that. I can't hear that message enough. You know what I mean? And you and I talked about that on our call on Monday as well. And so here's the question, and this is more of a, I'm going to say, philosophical question, because many people approach it different ways. So in reading and listening to the text and the lectures from Neville, he describes, Christ or God as your own wonderful imagination. And I, grew up hearing God being described as a he in the sky, and I've seen pictures that I don't relate with. And so as I was just listening to you mention God, I was just wanting to know, how do you describe what or who God is?
Mm-hmm. Great question. I've come to know that God is I am, like I keep saying over and over again. But simply put, God is consciousness. God, it says in scripture, he wounds and he heals. And he brings the woes and the love. He brings it all. He's all encompassing. He's in, he's out. But he's also our awareness of being. He's the one who's looking through our eyes. And it doesn't seem like that could be even possible. Little old me, right? But that's only your belief in the little old me that would even have you separate from that. I am whatever you say I am. That's God. In fact, it's interesting, Armors, because my son has been actively asking us to read him the Bible, which we do, and right now we're reading. He's 6 years old, and we're reading to him Exodus right now. Are we in Exodus or are we in Deuteronomy? Either way, we're talking about Moses, and we just got to the burning bush, and the bush says to him, I am who I am. And I paused and I asked my son, I was like, what do you hear when you hear that? And he's just like, oh, the bush is saying that to him. I was like, yeah, but why do you think he said I am? Like, Moses is trying to go down to his people and he asked him, what do I tell these people? And the bush told him, I am that I am. I was like, have you ever said I am? He goes, yeah. And what do you say about I am sometimes? I was like, I don't know. He's like, have you ever said I am, gosh, what was it? Have you ever said I am stupid? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, why would you say that to God? He goes, huh? Oh, no, I can't. I shouldn't say that to God. And he's like, and he like literally the next day he just starts saying all these I am statements. I didn't tell him what to say or anything like that. He was just like, oh, I'm great. Oh, I'm doing good. I love my mommy and all these type of things. And like his attitude is like he's listening more, he's more curious, all these things. Lovely kid, he's a small little kid, so he's gonna accept these things and run with it. It's us that have the difficulty with it. The church the church comes along and teaches us this stuff to keep us small and in line, which has its own benefits, of course, for the church, of course, but it has its benefits for individuals as well, because sometimes people do need that uplift. It's a lot better than being, in the gutter or in the street or being, lost.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're raising your consciousness, you do need to come to the awakening that, wait a minute, I am bigger than any organization. I am bigger than any priest. I am bigger than any situation that I might find myself in. And that's what scripture's really about. You, I am, is the central figure that this whole book is addressed to. This is what Neville's argument is, and it's what I've come to know from experience as well. I might not have experienced the spiritual awakening like Neville or Joel Goldsmith or um Saint Francis of Assisi or any of these people, but I understand what they're teaching because I know from experience what I've done with my own I am. And I know when I I know when I say I'm not enough and I get proof of it. It's very easy because that's what my programming has told me.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
that's who God is.
Yeah. Got it.
You're powerful, Armors.
Yeah.
You're more powerful than the strategies. The ideas that God has in store for you can only come from one place. And only one place can be aware of it. And that awareness is I am. And you said that you missed the first 15 minutes. I opened up with this passage from Matthew. It says, "The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who finding one pearl of great value, went and sold all that he had and bought it." What do you have that says that you have a power outside yourself? That's what you need to sell. It's not even about taking your power back. It's about owning who you are and
Yeah.
selling all the other beliefs away. Y'all can have that. Who's next?
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
I think for me, it just reiterates the power that's within me. And I feel like to no longer ask myself, I think, and I feel like I don't do it as often anymore, where, or where it's like, I know this, where I say to myself, well, you know this, why are you here? And I think that shouldn't even matter. Point is, um, to silence, like for me, to silence what is not my ideal because it's not real, and but it's to be real within myself, within who I am, to and being faithful to me, being faithful to what is my desire, and it's more also, I think, believe the feeling for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, allowing the what I would call like the lower vibrational emotions to still be there because I'm having the human experience, but how long am I going to choose to believe it? And at what point am I going to choose to be my ideal self? I mean, my ideal self, and like I'm always my ideal self, but what is the ideal self that I am wanting to choose? What is it that I'm consciously choosing?
This morning, Paula, I woke up as I do, as you do too. I woke up this morning and I'm laying in bed. I'm having an amazing meditation. I'm just sitting in the silence, sitting in the I am. My mind wanders, of course, but it comes back to the I am, and I'm like, good, man, you're nailing it. You got this. This is cool. All right, it's time to go. I had some things I needed to prepare. I had a business meeting this morning and all this type of stuff. So I was like getting my breakfast ready. I was about getting out of bed so I could go get my breakfast ready, and I get a notification a very unexpected notification, and I lost it. I literally lost my mind. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck? You know, that type of anger. And I was like, I mean, it was so quick. And I was like, whoa, you literally just had an amazing meditation. And this small little sliver of something is gonna is so quick to take you out. What are you believing in? Of course, being that I had already prepared this presentation, I was like, what the hell are you believing in? And I realized, I was like, I believe that this little small notification has more power than me. And I was like, that aha moment is like, oh, hell no. I am way more powerful than this little notification. There's nothing for me to be scared or angry at right now. That's my old self. Peace. And I literally just sat in that peace. I was like, all right, cool.
I like that.
And then I just went into the day, and the day was beautiful. The day is still beautiful. I'm having a great time. I am doing what I'm here to do, moment to moment to moment. I'm not saying that the things aren't going to show up. I'm not saying that the world isn't going to do whatever the world's going to do, but I do know that whatever is showing up is for me. I created it. That's who God is. The essence of all the things that are going on here. I do not need to give them any more life than they deserve. I am the power. Nothing is going to take me from my wish fulfilled. Nothing is going to take me from my ideal. Everything is perfect here and now. Because God is perfect here and now. He's always been perfect here and now, and will continue to be perfect here and now. And this world will catch up as long as I buy the pearl. I know I shared this Hawaii story with you guys so often, but it bears repeating. When I was I had already bought the tickets. We were in the process of selling all our stuff and getting our stuff together, and getting this move in order. It was a 6-week process, 6 to 7 week process, and there were so many times that I sold the pearl. So many. It's my wife's fault. It's this thing's going on. It's that thing going on. And I would reach out to my mentor and or my friends and be like, you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then they would tell me what to do. But no matter what they were saying or doing, none of it mattered until I chose to go within and know that I was already in Hawaii. Hawaii was already a done deal. Even though, man, I'm telling you, in those 6 weeks, there was so many opportunities for me to just say, fuck it. I give up. I can't do this. This isn't working. What am I even thinking? It'll just be easier for me to just say, screw it off. Let's just stay here in Chicago. But then eventually got to the place to where it's just like, nope, we already told our landlord we're gone. So now it's like it would have been a scramble to find a place. It was a whole thing. But no matter what, you guys, the end of every day, I am home. I am in Hawaii. Anytime I got triggered, I allowed the trigger to happen, but I would always go back home. I would always go back to I am and know the reality of my imaginal act. I would always remember that it was done and that I am the operant power. So I know this from experience, and I know this for you guys as well. Robert, Terry.
I mean, it's always been a journey. The manifestation dealio has always been a journey for me. So, like every lecture is no matter how many times I've heard it, it's or in whatever, how many ways I've heard it, it's still new to me. So, it's just kind of just like you're saying with your son, like a constant reminder of, would you talk to God this way? How dare you talk to God this way? And um, it's just kind of like eye-opening because like I remember growing up thinking, so I grew up Christian, religious, and I remember just growing up thinking, there are certain things you don't say, you don't go Jesus Christ, or you don't go F God, and there was one time I was like in what's that thing? Missionary. I was training to be a missionary, and they were teaching us, your body's the temple of God and all these things. And I just kind of started doing practices to just kind of respect my body. But now I'm kind of with this lecture, it was that's where my mind went, was at that point in time where I was kind of being a lot more respectful to my body. I was kind of like, yeah, would you be like God's a dumbass, Um, and so now it's kind of like just like your son, readjusting, reprogramming the mind to to the I am, That's pretty much what I wake up telling myself every day, I beat my chest and I go, I am that I am. I look in the mirror, I go, I am that I am, and I go about my day, The day sucks, it's kind of like whatever. How does the I am deal with it, And that's just how I go about my day, and I guess yeah, things is kind of it's working in its own way. I just mind my business, whether it's good or bad. I go, I don't go, oh, that sucks or that's really good. I just go, cool, as best as possible without going WTF.
Yep. And it's fine to be angry. Just don't sin. Be angry, but sin not.
Yes, exactly. So it's just a matter of just self-discipline at this point, respecting yourself, the I am, and your mind and your own ambitions and goals.
Yeah. Perfectly said, Robert. Perfectly said. And Terry, I think you unmuted your mic as well. What do you got? If you're speaking, I can't hear you. Test 1, 2, 3. I don't know what's going on, Terry, but it's all good. It's all good. Oh, something came up in the chat. Let's see. Ah, he's in the car. He's in the car and can't speak. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Well, you guys, you buy the pearl. Buy the pearl and sell all beliefs in external causes. If you believe that you need to do something in order to make something come to pass, that's selling the pearl. If you know that I am, that's buying the pearl. And the actions that you need to take, they unfold from this state of consciousness. They unfold from the state of the wish fulfilled, not the other way around. it's so interesting. I had an initial business meeting with someone I'm with the company that I'm pitching, doing presentations on. It's a startup company that's working its way towards I'm doing an IPO in a year or two. And I was talking with this woman, and she's saying to me how they're very action oriented in the company, and do things quickly and this and the other. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I should let you know that I am not action oriented. I'm being oriented. And she was like, oh, that's awesome. They need to, the C-suite needs to hear this. and I was like, oh, well, cool. So this week I'm going to be working on a one pager for their company, and pitch them what I'm working on and what I'd like to work on with them. And what I found to be interesting when I was sharing with her is like, just one of their values is oneness, the oneness of the whole organization. The way one person's being, it's connected to how everybody else in the company is doing. And I was like, that's totally perfect. I love that. And I said to her, it's like, look, if a handful of the employees of this company understand being before doing, it will change the whole trajectory of the whole company. And she could see that. And I brought up the example of who she was being, and and just to prove to her that her own being shows different results for her, and she could see it in her own life. She didn't even need to know all this stuff that we talk about here on a deeper level. You can look at your own life and see who I say I am produced the actions that I took, which produced the results that I got. Good, bad, or indifferent. So what we're talking about here isn't something you don't already know. This is something you've actually experienced if you look at your life. So if that's the case, you can choose who you're being now. You guys, I remember manifesting a job, and I was just like, I'm working at a company that pays me a ridiculous amount of money for barely any work. And sure enough, within 2 weeks, I got this job listing. And then we went in for the interview. I got pretty much hired on the spot in front of a whole line of people. I was like, this job is literally made for me. And then 4 months after starting the job, they promoted me and moved me to Chicago because of who I was being. So really consider that, and whatever it is that you're doing, you can have what you want. You don't have to condition it and say, oh, it needs to come this way or it needs to come that way. No, it comes the way you want it to come. If you want ease, if you want convenience, if you want loving relationships, if you want loving partnerships, if you want all that stuff, it's yours. Guaranteed. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to believe in anything other than I am. So I'm going to leave it there. You guys are awesome. Y'all are wonderful. Peace and hair grease.